Today's headline is the first Christmas. The subheadline says, The Star of Bethlehem and the Three Wise Men. The text for this article is Matthew chapter 2 verses 1 to 12. The memory verses are 10 and 18. The golden text, Thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Matthew chapter 1 and verse 21. The wise men from the east. It says, One day long ago, in the first Christmas time, some travelers came to Jerusalem and asked the startling question, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? These strangers were magi, or as we say in English, wise men. The magi were the priestly scholarly class of the Medo-Persian Empire. They had seen his star and had come to worship him. The Star of Bethlehem is hard to find on the astronomical charts. It was Kepler in 1604 who noted a conjunction of the planets Jupiter and Saturn and the appearance of a beautiful evanescent star. Calculations showed that a similar conjunction, thrice repeated, occurred about 2 years before the birth of Jesus. Herod's slaughter of the children 2 years old and less seems to indicate that the Magi reported a vision of the star at some time prior to their visit. Later students have found difficulties with the theory advanced first by Kepler. There is nothing in the language of Matthew chapter 2, says the Hastings Bible Dictionary, to imply that the star is of such a kind as cannot be shown to be subject to natural laws. We are come to worship him expresses the true issue of a vision of the star. God hung it in the sky, not to gratify a sense of words, but to lead us to Jesus. It means sacrifice to follow it. How much we may infer from the pages of Van Dyck's story of the other wise men. The star swings towards the horizon. Except we follow it, we lose its radiance. If we're true to the light God gives us, it will lead us to Bethlehem. If we're false to the truth, we shall lose even the truth we have. A question. If we had been living in the old mystic East, would we have seen the star? Would we have followed it? The perturbation of Herod. Judea was under the rule of Herod, an appointee of the Romans. He was an Idumean, Edomite in blood, but a Jew in faith. He was a forceful man, but very cruel. The massacre of Bethlehem fits in with the rest of his career. The query of the Magi troubled him deeply. King of the Jews had for him and his contemporaries a distinctly political meaning. Herod saw in this royal personage a rival. All Jerusalem were troubled also, for they knew of what violence Herod was capable. The perturbation of Herod doubtless had a spiritual as well as a political explanation. He was wrong in his life and dreaded the coming of the divine king. The unfaithful servant is terrified when he learns that the master has come home. The outward event has its real meaning in the characters of those whom it concerns. The birth of Jesus brought joy to the wise men, it brought fear to Herod, and became the occasion of deeper sin. The mud grows hard, and the wax grows soft, all by the selfsame heat. The sunlight gives pleasure to a sound eye, it tortures a diseased one. Herod at once called the chief priests and scribes together and asked them the birthplace of their expected Messiah. They found their answer in the writings of the prophet Micah, chapter 5 and verse 2. The messianic hope had undergone many changes. Micah in his time had believed truly that the national deliverance would be effected by a member of the house of David. Therefore, he wrote that out of Bethlehem, the home of David, there should come the Messiah of the people. The plans of Herod were laid accordingly. In a private interview with the wise men, he learned when the star first appeared. He then bade them find the king and report his whereabouts so that Herodian homage might also be paid. It was of course sheer hypocrisy on the part of Herod. His real intention was disclosed in the massacre of all the little children in Bethlehem. The worship of the child. Having received their directions, the Magi started for Bethlehem. It seems that the star was no longer visible. When there is no splendor in the sky, we must sometimes go on at the impulse of duty alone. But lo, as they went, the star shone out. However dark the sky, go forward accordant with God's word. The glory will again appear. With the deepest joy, the Magi hastened wherever the star led them, and thus they came at length to Bethlehem. It was there they found Jesus, the long-promised Savior. He was a little child, but they knew that a glorious career awaited him. There was no halo, no luminousness. The Son of God had wholly humbled himself with us, that he might exalt us at last to the glory which he had shared from the beginning. The Magi doubtless knew but little of the real meaning of the birth of the child, but they were true to the knowledge they received. Perhaps in after years they learned more about Jesus and the kingdom of love which he set up in the hearts of men. They worshipped the royal child. As an expression of homage, they gave him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The two latter substances were both resinous gums. They were probably products of their native lands, and therefore fitting as tributes to the king. The Magi teach us that Christmas is an appropriate season, not only to give gifts to our friends, but also to Jesus. If we give to the needy, and for his sake, we do give to Jesus, as the other wise man found. But the gift which conditions all other gifts, and is the gift most appreciated, is the gift of ourselves and trust and obedience. This story came from the great state of Indiana, being reported in the Reflector of December 26, 1903. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.